Hello, welcome back to another episode on the channel. This is me reacting to LBC News, well, it's radio actually. Muslim commentator versus Reform MP. Should the burqa be banned? Quite a controversial topic. Let's get into it.
Kevin says, should there at least be a debate around banning the burqa, Sarah Pochin?
Absolutely, there should, Kevin. Clearly, this was my first question to the Prime Minister, which, of course, he didn't answer because he doesn't seem to be able to answer any questions.
Why was it your first question? Because I'm thinking there were so many other things you could have asked. Why did you choose that?
Because I wanted to, well, first of all, massive issue in the by-election with asylum seekers, immigration, and the threat to women's safety, the cultural integration in the society. So there's that whole issue. But also I wanted to raise the point of public safety. The fact is that our police have a tough job as it is. All face coverings, I've actually widened and always meant it to be a question about face coverings, except when you're making a point and in Parliament and you've got a few minutes to do it, then ban the burqa was, everyone remembers those words. But the point is, face coverings in this country should be banned on the grounds of public safety and on the grounds of, in my view, suppression of women. This is not our culture.
If a woman chooses to do it...
I don't buy that argument. What woman...
Well, some women do.
What woman...
As Ali will, I'm sure,
can I just say, please, my point of view, which is what you're asking, what woman wants to cover themselves in a black cloth, especially it's 35 degrees yesterday in London. This is not our culture. If you want to go around in a black cloth, then go back to the country where that is their culture. But we don't want it here.
There are many British-born Muslims who wear the face covering.
I know, I went campaigning.
You see, there's a two-way street to this. So, if it's not okay for a person from the Middle East to come over to our country and use their culture. Now, I'm not saying I agree with face coverings. I think there's nothing wrong with Muslim dress. The only problem with Muslim dress I have is the full face burqa, and that's because it's a security concern. Like, I'm not allowed to walk into a bank with a bike helmet, so a female shouldn't be allowed to walk into a bank with a full face burqa. It's a simple thing. I know it seems Muslims might not like it, but from the point of view is, if a Muslim isn't allowed to wear their religious, cultural dress here, we're not talking about face covering, because she's mentioned here, if they want to use their culture here, they should go back to their own country, right? But that's all well and good, but you can guarantee she's gone to Spain and worn a bikini, or gone to Turkey, a Muslim country, and worn a bikini on the beach, right? And that's not their culture. She doesn't go to Muslim countries and put on Muslim dress. She doesn't go to India and put on a turban and start acting like she's a Sikh or a Hindu, does she? She doesn't... So why is it expected of Muslims to not allow to have their culture here, but we expect other countries to accept our culture when we go there? Now, I'm not defending face coverings here. I think face coverings should be banned. You should not be allowed to wear a face covering in public in Britain. Doesn't matter what it is. The limit should be a scarf to the chin. But this part of your face, from your hairline to your bottom of your chin, should always be visible. Unless it's, snowing and you've tucked under, fine. You try to keep warm, but you're showing your eyes and your nose. That's fine. But a full face burqa would fall under the category of a full face covering, under my belief, and therefore would be banned. I don't think it should be allowed. But it's not just a full face burqa. You got loads of divvies walking around with fucking masks on bikes, wearing balaclavas, doing crimes, and they're not even Muslim. So it's not just the full face burqa that's the problem. It's kind of all full face coverings. The only person who's using a full face covering is someone with something to hide. I'm sorry, it is. It's someone with something to hide. You don't hide your face for any other reason but to hide your face. So you're hiding something. It's deceitful. It's disingenuous. There's no difference between someone walking up to me in a balaclava and a woman walking up to me in a full face burqa. So I've got no problems with the burqas where their face is showing, They've got the headscarf, they've got the black gown, but their face is showing. I don't have a problem with that. Don't give a fuck. That's religious dress. That's no different to a priest wearing a collar, It's no different to a nun's outfit, right? It's fine. It's basically a Muslim nun. You know, it's fine. But the face covering, nah, should be illegal. Should be illegal. Should be a criminal offence. Shouldn't be allowed to do it. I agree. But the way she's portraying it is that, you know, if you want your culture here, you should go back to your own country. But she takes her culture to other countries. There'll be no doubt about it. She's gone on holiday and then expressed British culture in another country and expected people to tolerate it. So that's a hypocrite. She's now a hypocrite.
In Bolton in 2017, and I went up and down streets, and women would not speak to me, are frightened to speak to me.
We've only got 3 minutes left on this. Ali?
Well, first of all, I think you're being dishonest. I think when you said that you intended for it to be all face covering, you didn't. You went up in your very first speech, didn't talk about the NHS, didn't talk about the economy, didn't talk about housing, didn't talk about the plethora of issues that seriously affect your constituents.
I talked about one of the biggest issues in my...
Should let him finish, really, but...
My constituents, this is one of the biggest issues.
How many members of your constituency? How many members of your constituency wear the burqa? How many people in your constituency wear the burqa?
Society.
How many people in your constituency
I'm telling to you that one of the biggest issues raised on me on the doorstep was the cultural integration of foreigners in places like Runcorn and Helsby, and that was a big issue for my constituents.
But foreigners is a different subject to full face coverings. She's just contradicted herself. They're not the same subject. That's like talking about the national debt and talking about the deficit, right? They're interlinked. They are interlinked, but not the same thing. So the deficit is causing the national debt to grow, but the national debt hasn't gone down, even if we didn't have a deficit, because we don't have a profit. So she's just conflated two things that aren't the same thing, and basically said foreigners are the problem. But tried to use full face coverings as what she used as the fake front, what she was lying about, to attack foreign people. Like, why can't she just be honest?
Which is why I raised it.
Yes, but the question is how many... You raised the burqa. You then said that I wanted to be a broader issue about face covering.
Absolutely.
That's not what you said.
Yeah, I've said that ever
You knew
since.
what you were doing. The audience listening knows what you were doing. I know what you were doing.
I know what she's doing. She's just blaming Muslims for everything and saying Muslims are the problem without explicitly saying those words. That's exactly correct.
You were feeding and pandering to an increasingly divisive conversation because you knew it would play well for you for your political base. The reality is, if you're talking about crime in the burqa, let's look at what the National Crime Agency say, what the police say, what continuous organisations who study this say, and not one of them says this is a significant problem.
The thing is, right, there's not a lot of people going around in burqas like committing crimes. There's just not. You know, this isn't a Hollywood movie. There's not like a group of women with a white van in a burqa with burqas robbing people. Like, don't get me wrong, there will be instances of crimes where there is full face coverings used, sometimes by a male who's nicked it from his wife to try and hide his identity while he commits the crime. Fine, right? That's absolutely correct. But the majority of face-covering crimes in the UK are committed by white people dealing drugs or drug dealers on bikes with balaclavas. They're not committed by women with burqas, are they? Let's be honest. Let's be fair here. I'm not trying to defend Muslims. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not trying to defend reform. I'm not reform. I hate reform, really, because they're going to elect the guy who caused the mass migration problem in to solve it. Like, it's the most idiotic, stupid shit I've ever heard in my life. Like, they're trying to replace the Tories to end the two-party system, but they're just going to replace the Tories within that two-party system, and in 10 years' time, be replaced by a new bunch of idiots who wants to replace the two-party system, and then end up becoming the exact thing they fought to stop. Like, it's so stupid and idiotic. I'm just going to sit back and laugh at everyone for the next 10 years because you're all so thick and letting this happen. You're going to let this country be basically socialism of Germany World War II, but 2.0, and it's going to be Britain. And we are going to be these devils in history forever because you elect them. And I'm not going to have a part of it. I'm going to be strongly on the fucking right side of this, I tell you. And history will show yous are all fucking idiots.
that needs to be fixed.
I want to bring Steve in. Steve,
Ian, if I may, just one other
we've
thing.
We've literally got 2 minutes left, Ali. Steve, you used to represent a constituency with a very high Muslim population.
Yeah, about 20% of the constituency, British Muslims, about a third would vote Conservative. So I make 3 points. First, everyone, without exception, should be prepared to show their face when it is relevant for security.
And they do.
Correct. It's not often I agree with a Tory, but he's an ex-Tory, former Conservative MP, but yeah, I agree with him.
They do, without exception. Second, people confuse the burqa, niqab and the hijab. And forgive me, I think Sarah's saying burqa when she means niqab. And
She's correct. He's correct, yeah, because you got the headscarf, right? And then you've got the neck part, the gown, and then you've got the face covering. They are separate things, right? So I'm probably not even getting the name right myself. I'm calling it a burqa. It's probably not a burqa. So yeah, he's correct. We do need to be correct with our wording, because otherwise, it's wrong, isn't it?
Might want to ban the niqab. Some people want to ban the hijab. But what I'd say is the hijab is scarcely any different to what a nun would wear, and nobody's talking about banning that. So
I just said that. Literally, I've just said that. There's no difference between a Muslim nun, a Christian or Catholic nun, and that. There's literally no difference.
I think the crucial point here is people.
And if Muslims are oppressing women with that, then how are we not oppressing our women with that? Does that make sense? We have to be non-biased in some situations. We can't just be like, when our country's Christian, so we're against Muslims. No, actually, this country was not Christian. For 1,000 years before Christianity came over and took over, it was pagan. Druidism, shamanism, animalism, pantheism. It was not Christian. This country adopted Christianity. We were never Christians. We became a Christian country because Christians killed us all right? Fuck off with your religious shit. This is not a Christian country. It's a pagan one.
Should be prepared to show their face. But the third point I'd make, which is to me really the bottom line, in a free society, politicians ought not to be in the business of telling women to wear clothes which are more or less demure by their own judgment. Some women are choosing to wear the hijab or indeed the niqab for religious reasons because they don't wish to inspire men to temptation. And I don't want to be there, but others do, and I think they should be free to take those views. But as long as they're prepared to show their face when it's relevant for security reasons.
Jim?
I think the fact that Sarah, in trying to justify herself, has used the term foreigners and go back to the country you came from, I think tells us that she's pursuing a divisive agenda designed to pick on a minority. And I don't think that's really where we need to go if we're trying to encourage integration.
I agree that this is what bullies do. They pick on people who struggle to defend themselves as much as other people, whether it be because of numbers or strength or the ability to actually defend themselves. So, minorities, disabled people, weak people. Bullies will always pick on the most vulnerable parts of society and never, ever go after the big dogs. So you'll find bullies will go after migrants, asylum seekers, foreigners, children, disabled people, unemployed people, single mothers, drug addicts, anyone but a powerful thing. Because they're weak, they have no chance of taking on a powerful thing because they're weak. So they try and pick on people who are weaker than them. That's what a bully is. And that's what she is, a bully. She's trying to bully Muslims into being the problem. Don't get me wrong, there are Muslims who are a problem. There are plenty Muslims who are a problem. But you can't then blame all the nice Muslims who work hard, who raise their children, pay their taxes, never hurt anyone. You can't blame them for the few bad eggs. You just can't. You can't blame me because of what Donald Trump does because we're both white. That's the sort of mindset. What planet are you on? You can't do that. It's not how it works. It's just not how it works. So there are different types of Muslims as well. So to treat one type of Muslim as if they're the other type of Muslim is also wrong. It's ignorant. It's like treating a Protestant as if they're a Catholic. Like treating a Sikh as if they're Hindu. Like treating a Buddhist as if they're a Jew. It makes no sense whatsoever when you actually understand things correctly. Some of the things you lot do. It makes no sense. So people end up thinking I'm a liberal because I have this stance. Like, no, I just understand that if you really had a problem with Muslims, you would be taking it up with the Islam authorities of the world, the religious leaders of Islam across the world. You would take these problems up with them. But you don't. You whinge about it in front of white people to white people. You don't go to a Muslim country, into a Muslim building, and speak to the authorities of Islam about your problems with Islam. No. You just sit there and do it. It makes no sense. They're cowards and bullies. Like, I'm sorry, she's fucking weak.
Word from you.
I'm standing up for British values and what the people of this country want to claim back, and that's our culture.
We stand for freedom in this country.
Crumpets.
Right? We've been oppressed for hundreds of years by various people. The Romans, the Vikings, the Anglo-Saxons, the French, the Spanish, the Dutch tried it, the Germans tried it, the Americans tried it. Everyone tries to pick on this country, right? So we're very good at defending ourselves, and we defend others. That's what we were supposed to do. When we were colonizers and we took over the world as the British Empire, it was for money and for power, but also we took over these people and offered protection. It was almost like racketeering, like a gang, you know? We protected them. Not all the time. Sometimes we hurt them, you know? Things got out of control. But that's what we're supposed to do in this country. We're supposed to respect religious freedoms. So, if I can be an agnostic atheist, then this person can be a Muslim. This person can be a Jew. And that fucker can be a Catholic. This person can be a Christian Protestant. They can be an atheist. We are supposed to believe in religious freedoms. And if you do not tolerate religious freedoms, then we're going to start being oppressed by one religion, aren't we? It's as simple as that. It's so stupid, all this bullshit. Like, 20 years ago, basically every Irish guy called Paddy was a suspected terrorist to the UK. And now, in 2025, it's anyone called Mohammed who's not white. It's so ridiculous. You're all sheep. You're all just sheep dancing to the strings of the media. Fucking pathetic.